right, folks. Wow. Sorry about that. All right, let me bring up Discord here.
I'm not doing it.
All right, Discord is live. Oh, my apologies for being a few minutes late on the broadcast. Welcome, live with the Shaman. How's everybody over in Discord?
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Doing good.
I always manage to come in on the ass end of a conversation in Discord when I'm going live, and everybody's like, "Whoop."
Because I'm on the ass end of a conversation here too.
Well,
I just did the same thing that you did.
right, yeah. As you get older, body doesn't cooperate. All right.
Focus seems to go straight through.
Yeah, right. Well, let's get the opening statements out of the way. Live with a Shaman is an adult channel. We do talk like an adult. You do not have to be a shaman to kick in and put in your 2 cents. We like open conversations and topics. We come at it from a shaman point of view, and the other people that join us that are not shaman come at it from a different point of view, which actually all of our broadcasts are designed to give newcomers to the pagan philosophies or the shaman philosophies or shut up Google a different way of looking at things. But like I say, we do use adult language. We do not allow nudity on this channel, dang it, in accordance to Facebook and YouTube and all of that. However, if you do want to see and support our videos over on lbry.tv, that's lbry.tv, you can find us over there. Drop us a little tip if you want. Some of the tips we get are like, what the hell are you talking about and what planet are you from? But hey, that's okay. We have not figured out yet what planet I'm from. So, wow, I'm surprised nobody jumped on that one.
Uranus.
Our topic today, thank you, Clint, is the relativity between astral planes. Now, this could actually really spark up an interesting conversation. I think where he's coming from, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Clint, I think where he's coming from is the likenesses between the different astral planes. Clint, what say you, my brother?
Yes, that's partially what I'm talking about. All the planes are interconnected in one form or fashion. It's just people don't understand what to look for or to feel or to understand. Like the here and now, we have, like they say, a parallel universe that's either before us or after us, or if you can, if you know what you're doing, you can go to past times. Future times are still not there yet, but there is an inkling of what they are. It's just trying to understand. They're all relative to each other, but they're all distinctly unique.
Right, I get it. Are you not talking a little bit about the singularity?
Yes, because when it comes to, like you were telling me, when I first started, there's a singularity that encompasses everything. Nobody knows the actual name to it. Everybody kind of calls, Allah, God, Jesus, whatever. Those are just terminologies, but they're all relative to each other.
Right. And from a shamanic point of view, and where you're coming from, dead on, everything is connected to everything else. Now, okay, so I'm not necessarily. What the hell is in there? Oh, ha! I'm not necessarily talking about the glasses case being connected to the vape. That's not what we're talking about at all. We're talking about life. We're talking about the existence of life, the momentum of life. You know, if you think about, let's think about science and DNA for a minute. I love the science of DNA and how they're tracking everything back to amoebas, if you will, single cell creatures. Well, we all know, or at least I hope like hell we know, that the human body, the living body, whether it's Cindy, we can hear you.
11 o'clock, so get your ass out to bed.
Cindy, you're live. Bloop.
Yeah, we can hear what you're saying.
Downstairs too.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I just didn't want you to say something live on a broadcast that you didn't want broadcast. But if we look at the connection, okay, and you know, Clint's got it dead on. If you look at the connection of everything we do as humans affect everything else. Everything the whales do within their society as whales has an effect on their ecosystem around them. Dave says live from Dallas. Yeah. And if we're talking about the astral plane, which is kind of where we're at, anybody that has ever visited the multiple different planes of the astral, the different areas within the astral, or has ever done any prophetic dreaming, as some people call it, where they've entered a different state of consciousness on a different plane, that's a simplistic description of the astral.
Yep, and also people's deja vu moments, or going into some place and they know where everything is at. That's part of the different relatives of the planes that are going on. Because yeah, you have probably been there, but you just didn't know it until that instant.
Right, and that's also defined as out-of-body experience or a projection of the out-of-body experience. I've had times where I've asked a spirit guide, what am I looking at tomorrow? What am I facing tomorrow? What kind of issues could I possibly encounter tomorrow? And excuse me, I don't ask this on a daily event because, quite frankly, I know what I'm going to face tomorrow. For the most part, I sit down, I log on, the phone rings, I answer it. But if I've got a meeting planned, if I've got a meeting scheduled or a gathering of some kind, what am I looking at approaching? And therein lies the relativity of the planes, because if you look at the different philosophies of the astral, Lester has had his interactions on the astral, Jamie has had hers, Thomas and Clint and Cindy and Dave and Sabrina, and I think that's all. I think I touched on everybody that is in the show right now. Each and every person you talk to, they're going to have a little bit of difference of description of the astral. Anybody want to touch on that?
Each person, yeah, the astral plane is each. Never, to me, you've taught us that everybody has their own different astral plane. They might be the same listings, but everybody has a different aspect.
Everybody's going to perceive it different. What perception have you had of yours, Cindy?
Oh boy.
Hard to describe, I know, but kind of hit the highlights.
Um, the highlights to me is the Hall of Records. That's the one I've been going to lately the most. And to me, I go into a big columns. It's like a Roman column, Roman stadium columns, and there's books beyond books that you could just see. And it's like if you want to go see, you want to go, you have to go to one of the elders that are standing all the way around and say, I need, you talk to this one, and if he has something for you to learn, he will give you this book to read, or he will teach you this lesson.
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
in the other parts, after the hall, I have my fire circle where my council is most of the time. When they want to discuss with me on that plane, it's not with the halls, it's up higher, as I call it. It's in a higher level of mind. And that's when I sit down with my council, and the ones that want to talk to me will talk to me. Or a 2x4 sometimes, because I'm stubborn.
Right.
They will tell me, sometimes they tell me flat out, but 75% to 80%, it's riddles. It makes
I hate parables.
parables. They will do the parables, and it's like, I don't understand. They say, think about it. I said, I've been thinking about it. I'm going crazy about it. I come back to you and say, I need help. And then they'll bring this little short dude, as I call him, like a little gnome, and he'll sit down one-on-one with me and explain some of it.
Right.
Stop it.
All right. Anybody else, Clint?
Go ahead.
My Astral most of the time, like the Hall of Records, me and Cindy's are pretty much identical, but my council is cave dwellers. Hence the polar bear and my bears and stuff. They're underground, which I don't like because I'm claustrophobic, but that has to be. That has to be. That's the way it is. That's the way I've always been. And then they like to send me on excursions of the parables that I have to figure out. They will not most of the time tell me what is going on. I have to figure it out myself. And that's what we're supposed to do, whether you're Catholic or Protestant or whatever. You have to figure out what you need to do, not what is needed to be done for the world. It's you only control your part of the here and now, but there's other parts, the relatives of the astral planes, that also coincide with what you're doing now.
Yeah, and Dave posted he can't get his control key to work in Discord. Dave, I don't see you in the Live with the Shaman chat in Discord. You may not be logged in. Well, on that note, Clint, and Cindy's note as well, every religion that I've studied through the years has parables of different kinds within that religion. And the astral plane is not just a pagan thing.
No, it's not. No, I've seen everybody up there.
Yeah, I mean every religion has a quote astral plane of one kind or another. Anybody else want to talk about some of their
Can I pick on Lester? I would like his view on this. I really like Lester.
I'm here.
How do you do that? Do you have astral like, or how does that work with you?
I do, on occasion. I haven't visited Astral in quite a while, but I do. It's the same. It's the same for everybody. Religion has nothing to do with being able to go on the astral plane.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. Go ahead.
Hello, Dave. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I've dealt with the astral in the physical realm, but mainly when I'm sleeping, I go visit a lot of different places. I visit the dead. I've visited the dead a lot, and that will really wear you out. But it's constant, and either I do it while I'm awake or I do it while I'm sleeping. But I don't do it while I'm meditating.
Anybody else? I noticed Jamie's being awful quiet back there.
Jamie.
Jamie is chasing a 4-year-old. Do y'all know how long it's been since I owned a 4-year-old?
The astral plane of catching a 4-year-old.
Jamie got her hands full.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I'm too old for this shit.
Well, see, that's the reason. That's the reason you have grandkids, so you can spoil them and send them home.
Amen to that.
This is the first time her daddy has let her come this far away. I'm 3.5 hours away from her house.
Whoa.
And so her daddy letting her come this way all this time. He looked at me the other day, yesterday when I picked her up and said, whatever happens to her, I'll duty. I said, dude, are you threatening your mother? He said, you're damn right.
Yep.
I said, well, I didn't kill you or your brother and sister, so I think we're pretty good.
There you go. There you go. And
Go see Benjamin next week.
Well, I had a situation, like I didn't realize that this was ages before I even realized I was a pagan. I was in St. Joe, Missouri, and we were standing in Jesse James' house in St. Joe, Missouri. And this lady come in and she said, so where is this? I said, oh, that's around the corner over there. And the lady at the counter looked at me and said, have you been here before? And I'm like, no. And it didn't dawn on me until then that maybe I had been there before.
maybe you were there in a prior life. Who the hell knows?
Well, that's been a topic of conversation several times, that I was a madam in the past someplace along the Jesse Jackson planet.
Too many
Jesse
places
James,
I could go
not
with
Jesse Jackson.
I know. Drum. I digress.
that. None of us ever digress. Come on.
We are digress.
True. So, I mean, you think about it. Now, let's think about, with the understanding of the astral, how are as separate as the different planes are, okay? And for me, I'm going to try to draw a parallel so that people understand what we're talking about. Each plane has a veil, and each veil separates the different planes, such as, for example, all right, the plane of the ancient warriors, the plane of the Akashic records, the planes of the astral college, the planes of maybe the unicorns, the planes of maybe the Pegasus, and different people are going to see these differently. Where with me, I see the different separations of the different ancient metaphysical creatures that are very real on the astral. And some people do, some people don't. I traverse through the planes with a mental knock on the door, if you will, and the guardian of that plane either allows me in or says, "You are not ready for this." I don't encounter that so much here recently, but 20 years ago when I was just starting out, really getting to understand the astral, there were a number of planes I was turned away from.
Oh yeah. Many.
But even though as different as they are, Clint, what likenesses have you seen, the relativity between the planes? What likenesses have you seen between them, if I'm understanding your topic correctly?
Okay, the likenesses, there's like you were saying, the veils, but there's always a connection to each one. Like today I was watching the movie Thor. They were talking about the convergence. The way the relativity of all the planes, there is a convergence on all of them. There's a connection thread for every single one. It's just different, some stronger, some less stronger. But like you said, when you need to ask to go into one, you mentally knock or you say, "Hey, I have this question, or I need to look at something on this plane. Is it permissible for me to go and do what I need to do?" And sometimes they'll tell you, like you said, "No, it's not time yet. You don't need to do this."
Now, the interesting part in what we were talking about with that in retrospect, I also know people that have no question of traversing the planes in their path and in their training. They just simply step through the different veils, and I've even met some people where the astral plane is the astral plane. It's like kind of like the Earth is, and if you think about the different borders of the different states and the governments on Earth, in America and in the UK and in other countries, you can go most of the time from state to state across the borders, just driving across or just walking across. You don't necessarily have to present any kind of passport or ask permission.
That's how my experience with Astro has been. The
Right.
last month.
So I mean, it really depends on your spirit guides, your training, your path, who you are, how your spirit guides, your gods and goddesses have your astral set up. For as much as of a parallel as we see, between all of us. I mean, like right now in Discord, we have one, two,
Eight of
three,
us.
4, 5. We have 5 different paths represented
Yeah.
right now in the Discord chat. And each one of those 5 different paths
Yeah.
are going to experience the core of astral in a little bit different ways. But the thing I've always found amazing is how much alike all of our different all of our different experiences of astral are. Anybody want to touch on that?
Well, you would think that my astral visits would be more of a Christian base, but they're not. They're more esoterical than anything else. I don't I don't find that the astral realm is any specific uh, genre. It's more of a personal place. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm classified as a Christian, but everybody that knows me knows that I'm not really Christian.
Right. But at the same time, the astral is a metaphysical place for
Right.
as
Esoterical.
yeah, as far as as real as it is, and we all know reality is 90% perception.
Yeah.
But the astral is an amazing place. You know, it's in many, many ways, the astral is an undescribable place of so many different variables and possibilities and timelines and what have you. The only thing I have never been able to do in the astral for any ideological proof to myself, if you will, of traveling the future. What do y'all think?
I think that is off limits to most.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Good thing you brought that up because I have been, I think, in a way to the future one time. Other than that, it's always been the past. I was given a conundrum to figure out, which I figured out, but I've been trying to figure out what it pertains to today's world.
The
Again with the
guides,
parables.
the guides will give you glimpses of what a future outcome may be,
Right.
but you still have the ability to change anything that is shown to you.
Yeah, it comes down to freedom, uh, freedom of choice. You know, in the bare sense of the word, right? If we take this screwdriver, for example, I have the freedom of choice whether or not to drive that screwdriver through my hand. Now, sorry, I'm not into
That's an
pain.
interesting topic, Don. How many times have you contemplated this driving the screwdriver through your hand?
I've not
Like,
fantasized about it, but it is it you know it really is down to freedom of choice. Um,
And sanity.
yeah, well, yeah, there is that.
we all have that freedom of choice to eat that bullet, but we never do.
Right. Um, you know, with my training and background, I'm one of the idiots that would bring a knife to a gunfight.
As far as like seeing
I bring a pipe.
into the future and stuff, can y'all hear me?
Just barely, hun.
Barely. How do I make myself?
Let me see if I can turn you up a little bit here. You're already at 128%, so I can't turn you up anymore.
I wonder what's going on. Is that better?
There you go. Come on with it.
Okay. So as far as seeing into the future, I think as our paths grow, we can maybe see more snippets. I mean, obviously you have the psychics and stuff like that that can see a snippet of the future. But as far as astral goes, if we were to go astral planing into the astral as into the future, I don't know if we could comprehend the magnitude of what that was or what that would mean. And I think in a way, for many people, it would push us almost back in our journey because either through doubt or through worry or through stuff like that. That's my personal little opinion, I guess.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, me personally, okay, I don't want to know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, hell, like you say, I've already got enough to worry about.
Yes.
And even if I quote knew what was going to happen tomorrow, my analytical self would go, is that truly going to happen because of cause and effect?
Right.
When we look at cause and effect can change the future by changing the placement of a word in a conversation. You
So
know,
with that in mind, do you think if you were to be able to travel astrally into the future, do you think that would alter your path then?
are you saying, do you think it would alter the way I would act and react and interact on my daily life?
Yes.
I don't think it would have any choice but to alter it.
Right. See, that's what I mean. I don't think the majority of people could handle that. 'Cause we live in a society of stress,
Right.
of worry and concern. And so, in order to see, even if it was a positive future, I think that would cause worry. And I don't think our guides want us to experience any more than we already have.
True enough. But then we sit back and we look at how everything is so different and yet how everything is the same. I mean, the basic core of the building and the configuration, if you will, of the astral, which is, we all know and agree, I think, is an alternative plane that is neither alongside nor in front of or behind the earth plane, but the astral plane is an encompassing existence all to in and of itself. One of the things I've noticed in astral, and see what y'all think, where I really loved the topic when Clint come up with it, because the astral plane has no time.
Yep, because what time you spend up there, it could be days, weeks, years, months, seconds, and here it could be like a half a second.
Yeah, I mean, I've been yanked ass into astral, like maybe on a 15-minute break at work. All of a sudden, spirit guide says, "Oh, come here." And I'm sitting in my chair completely, absolutely zoned, can't tell you shit that's going on around me. And I feel like I've been in astral for a good couple of hours having a discussion, and I think, holy shit, I've gone past my 15 minutes breaks. My ass is going to be up a creek without a paddle. So I snap myself back down in my chair, and I look at the ox clock, and I've been on break 3 minutes. I'm like, really, guys? Not funny. And of course, they're laughing their ass off, getting a fucking kick out of it. And then at the same time, I've had entire nights where I feel like I got absolutely no sleep whatsoever because I've been in the astral all fucking night.
Don't you love that?
It's night.
And, you know, I've got a smartwatch that measures sleep, and I checked my sleep schedule, which I have found to actually be very accurate, amazingly. And my sleep schedule tells me I got 5 hours of sleep. I'm like, who the fuck are you fooling? You know, you get up and your brain is mashed potatoes and you're trying to just see through the fog just so that you can get to the bathroom to do your morning ritual. And holy shit, it may take 15 minutes just to get out of the fog and step up out of the mud that you feel like you're walking through.
Yep.
Don't you love that? And then when you actually get out of the fog, it's like, oh, I did make that cup of coffee. Oh, I did do this. What? When
Yeah.
did I do all this? Okay.
You know, yeah, right. You know, you're sitting there looking at your coffee going, when did I make that? Wait a minute, what fucking time is it? Holy shit, it's 5 o'clock. I get up at 4:15. What? So, I mean, but when we think about how the different planes are all connected, how they interact, how they work, like we said, as much as they are different, if you will, like Clint said, they're all connected. They're all a part of each other.
I'll give you my little take on it.
Okay.
Okay, so we go back to where we came from before we were born. So that is an area of the astral. When we dream, that is a form of astral. So we generally go back to the area where we came from when we dream. Now you can see there's trillions of galaxies in the visible universe. So you can imagine that there's just as many or more areas of the astral.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where we came from before we came here, and that's where we go when we sleep, and then we'll go back there when we die. And then we'll figure out where we got to go again. But
Hey guys, I'm gonna lovingly tell you goodbye. I gotta take care of my 4-year-old.
All right,
Okay.
Jamie, have a good day.
You too.
there's just as many areas of the astral as there is probably, galaxies in the whole entire universe. So I mean, it's just whatever you can think of. If you're thinking when you're back in the astral, is where you could go, or you could create your own area. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I've done that. I have created my own little area of the astral, and I found that absolutely amazing when Spirit Guide
guys.
showed me how to do that. Yeah.
Don, I'm gonna have to back out too. I've got people here.
Okay. All right. Have a good day, Cindy.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye, Cindy.
There, the interesting part, and we've been on about 45 minutes, so Clint, absolutely, thanks for the topic. It's been great. When you think about as different as things are, they're also the same in many ways. And if we think about, could we see the future? There's too many variables. I don't want the responsibility of seeing the future in the astral, to be honest with you. Because there may be things that could be changed that don't need to be changed for things to happen the way they need to happen. Looking at the past in the astral, the past is too relative to perception. Because my perception of my past may not match someone else's perception of my past and the way they perceived it while I was living it from the outside.
Yep.
So when we're talking about just the basics of the astral and the relativity between the planes, as relatively alike as they are, and they are very relative to each other. One could very easily wind themselves up over thinking about all of the variables that the astral could stand for. The astral has no right or wrong, it just is. The astral has no time, it just is. And when we go into astral, some people don't see the veils between the planes. The veil between the planes don't exist in some people's paths or philosophies. I always find it interesting how so many different people idealize, hypothesize, visualize the astral and the likenesses thereof. It's just like looking at religion. Though I know, I live, I see, I experience the differences between the different religions, I also see the parallels and the relative parallels between all of the different religions themselves. And I really started doing that while I was studying the discipline of Buddhism. The discipline of Buddhism teaches the relativity and the relative parallel among all of, like Dave said, the different universes, the different astrals, the different lives, the different lifestyles, lifetimes, and belief systems. Definitely.
Mine was Taoism.
Go ahead.
Mine was Taoism. When I was actually looking at Taoism, that's when I looked and saw the parallel between the religions.
Yeah, Taoism's cool.
Yep.
Taoism is cool. So you could absolutely wind yourself up over this entire topic. And honestly, when I've allowed myself to wind up on a topic, I find myself coming out of it more confused than I did when I allowed myself to wind up over it.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, so for me, the reason when I listen to other people talking about astral planning and the different astrals and certain things like that, and like you said, people have different experiences. I always wonder, is mine different than others? Because like you said, mine is very much like the world. It's very much like states. I just cross it, and I don't have the different veils. But I wonder if that's why, is if it's because of my ability to see the dead, because when I see the dead, I cross veils in order to do that. So to me, maybe I'm not thinking that I'm crossing different veils when in astral, because I deal with that in a different aspect of my path. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I have to ask you this question in all honesty. Does it matter?
It doesn't, but you know how you just said that when a topic gets you going?
Oh boy.
So it's gotten me going in that aspect, because I can't relate to so many people when it comes to astral, because their experience is different. And I know that's a good thing. But when you feel so alone because you have a gift of seeing the dead, or you feel that way, it's hard, because okay, am I different because of that? Is it two different veils, but is it actually just the same veil? And I cross it for this experience, as far as seeing those who have passed and loved ones, or guides, or certain things like that. Or is it just because my experience with astral is just different?
Well, I answer that with a question.
Okay.
We have a sister to the Grove whose job is to help people cross over on national catastrophes, if you will, global catastrophes. Their part of their job as shaman is to assist the crossing over to wherever they're crossing over to.
Yep.
Of the dead.
Yep.
This person also, though sees the planes, has no variable request of admittance to the plane. They just cross the plane.
Yes.
But yet this person's shaman. While some of us in our own existence are required permission. In short, there's no answer for that.
Right.
My perception is each of us have a job to do. I understand the being completely lonely in a space full of people when the things that you are doing you perceive no one else around you can do those things,
Or isn't willing to talk about it.
or is not willing to talk about it. Mine was and has been to go into a group of people, find a corner, because anytime I go into a new group of people, I try to be silent. I find a corner or a wall and sit down and put my back to the wall. And I open my shields to the room and I start feeling different things from different people. Now, here's an interesting part. As I do that, different people will start to come to me at different times and introduce themselves and have different conversations about different philosophies and ideas. And then they bugger off. I may never see them again, or we exchange information and we become friends, or they're like a crystal which hangs around for a while, and then after some time they bugger off and go do what they got to do with or for someone else.
Wow.
But when
Yeah,
you
we all have a unique situation, and like Don said, we all have our own uh, veils, past whatever, or we just cross over with no problem. Um, you're not the only one. You know, there's others that are out there that have the same thing. We're all unique. We all have our own, like Don said, perceptions of what needs to be done.
Right.
and you know that's kind of part of the reason for Open Pagan Church and Live with the Shaman, so that we have two different genres, if you will, of space for communication and sharing, so that you don't feel isolated. So people like you and Clint and Cindy and myself and anybody else, Dave and Sabrina and Debbie and all, anybody else that comes through, even if just for a few moments, maybe something one of us talks about, and it's one of the other reasons I love Discord. Maybe one of the things that one of us talks about, someone else will go, I'm not alone. Someone else gets it. I mean, I know in my earlier years, I felt isolated, alone, and completely dismayed that, and even pissed off a lot of times, because why can't everybody else do it? I can do it. And I'm sure you felt the same way with seeing the dead.
Oh,
Well, I just wish people would be happy with themselves and accept other people for who they are. I've got a lot of rejection in my life because of what I am, how I view the physical world. You know, I'm at one with what I'm made of. So I don't look at the world in a judgmental way, and I live in the present moment. And this isolates me because people look at you like, oh, well, you're odd. Well, I'm glad I'm not like them. I'm not mired down inside the physical world. I just move around it. But people don't get it.
Well, and a
You know,
lot,
people don't get it. So it's I don't fit in,
exactly.
especially with other, like people that do go out in the pagan community. I don't fit in with them. They don't,
Yep.
they just don't get it. I
but
I don't know.
let me ask both of you a question, or anybody else that's listening a question, both on the pre-recorded broadcast or live. Do you not realize that every one of us, you, everybody else, every other living creature on this planet, be it human or not. We're all a piece of a puzzle. The interaction that you have with others might well be a piece of the puzzle that, though to your face they tell you you're strange, but something you said, an interaction, someone may look at you and say, oh my God, you can see the dead. But something you say in your interaction, words have power. Words have
Absolutely.
meaning. Go ahead.
I said absolutely. I'm going to be very honest with you. Being on Discord scares the fuck out of me. It creates panic attacks to everything but I do it in there because if I can help one person that's like me, that's worth my uncomfort. And
I need to get going, but I want to hear what you finished, what you had to say.
Okay, yep, let me finish real quick on that. Each of us are a part of a puzzle. And each of us are where we need to be at the time that we're there. You know, at the risk of sounding cliche, Gandalf the Grey said it point blank. I am where I need to be precisely on time. I always thought that was kind of cool, even if it was in a movie, because it speaks truth. Dave,
Right.
enjoy your day, Dave.
Have a good day, Dave. And that's kind of what I was getting to. I was in a shelter for women years ago, and there was this woman who had dead around her, and I started talking to her, and she was highly, highly Christian. She was scared out of her mind, and now years later, she's like a sister to me. She reads tarot, and she does it for her God. She does it, she's still Christian and stuff like that, but I needed to be there at that point, in that moment, to help her with the gift that I have. But it's still terrifying.
Well, of course it is. Everybody, I mean, nobody likes rejection. I mean, I've, as long as I can remember, I have been put in positions of public speaking of one kind or another. When the HOP had its very first gathering, true gathering, on property in 2000, actually I think it was late 99, early 2000, I was scared shitless. I had absolutely no idea what I was supposed to say or what I was supposed to do. Spirit guide very calmly said, you got this. We got you back. Do you know I cannot remember what the hell I said in that first circle or most all circles after that? Because when I'm in a conversation, in a spiritual, ideological conversation with someone, I allow myself to be led and fed by my spirit guides, or I think the Fae call them fetch. I don't know what different other paths call their spirit guides. But if you listen, and you don't listen so close that you don't hear, and you realize and you understand and you accept that though everything is different, everything is more paralleled and alike than a lot of people want to realize or admit. The relativity of the astral planes is the same topic of real life on this plane as it is of the astral plane. Because as much as everything is different, everything is the same.
Very true.
And I want to close with this, and I want to thank you, Clint. This has been a hell of a good topic. I'm open for a topic for next week. Post it, PM it, something. But let's close with this, because we're over our hour. As much as everything is different, everything is the same. Because if we take the chaos, the discontent, the hate and the rhetoric that's going on today in society, so many people forget that other than biology, if you peel the skin on human beings, the only thing you can tell is male from female. You can't tell what color they are. You can't tell where they come from in life. You can't see the scars on the skin. If you peel the skin, you can't see the sadness in the eyes or the expression on the face. When you peel the skin of people that are so different, the only thing you see are those things that make us human. And I think that's why those of us that traverse the astral planes are so much happier there. Because all of the different races, non-human, human, animal, metaphysical creatures, warriors, priests, priestesses, as much as they are different, they're all embraced because they're all the same. So maybe if we think about that before we involve ourselves in chaos and hate, maybe we'll be a little happier in our own existence. Don't be ashamed of who you are. Don't be afraid of who you are. Respect who you are and respect others for who they are. With that, hope you've enjoyed our broadcast of Live with Shaman. We'll see you next week, hopefully with another good topic. You guys have a great week and a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Later, people.